Holy moly, welcome back to Great Mondays Radio. I can't believe that I'm finally sitting down with the incredible Emily Griffin, who is Chief of Staff at Microsoft. She is an incredible, I think, visionary. She has a ton of experience building digital products, working with teams that did build digital products, and she is going to shed some light on some of the amazing experiences that she has had in her extensive career. Emily, amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Josh. I'm so excited to be here finally. It's taken a minute for us to have the stars align, but we're here and
We're
I'm so excited
here.
to dive in.
Yeah, that's right. So I think we should start with this, when did you realize, it's not that, I think you come at culture from a very different perspective. You arrived here from a very different vector, and you have just a ton of experience in that product space, in the digital space, and in a lot of other organizations. So can you share with us just how you got here, and then we'll move on to like what you're doing now and how you're making that happen.
Yeah, well, my history in my career is around entertainment and music, and so I think I was always around really fantastic creative cultures. And as I evolved my career into working in tech and then eventually working as an independent consultant, helping early stage startups with their products, I started to get exposed to different teams and started to really see where culture was weak. And I think there's that saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And I think I just assumed that this thing always happened because I was always around creative people who kind of got it and loved like learning and experimenting together. But I was working as an independent consultant for an early stage startup who had a very righteous mission, very feminist forward, outward mission that really attracted a lot of really great talent. But it was not set up for success. And I really felt that pain. I saw the lack of awareness, that lack of alignment about what culture is, how to build it. And that on top of this immense pressure that businesses feel to grow, the urgency of everything,
Yep.
it things can devolve really quickly. And so I started to think of like, well, in this way that I'm able to get an engineering and design operation going in a rhythm and working with listening to customers and working across the business with marketing and all these different aspects, I was like, how how can we approach culture from that lean, agile, human-centered design, same behavior? And
Mhm.
that's what sparked my curiosity. That's when I discovered Culture Amp. It's when I discovered you. And that's when I realized, okay, there is a model. This is like, it's not my idea, but like, wow, I can do it. And you were a really big encouragement for me that I could approach culture and culture design as a creative and a product maker, because my background isn't in HR.
Right.
I didn't quite know how to get into focusing on people. And you encouraged me so much on that. And I'm so grateful. And I've really used your model ever since to help me translate what culture is for people, help me audit cultures really quickly. And in helping engineers and more product minds understand culture, I'm able to use your model really well because I can say, all right, just like we would be building a product, there's product epics. There's these main thematic things that we have to do for a product. Like, let's say we're talking about an app we've all used before, like Uber. There's epics like ride booking and payment and pricing, or ratings and feedback and support. And underneath each of those epics, there's features, right? So
Mhm.
for something like behaviors or rituals or recognition, those are epics. And there can be a number of activities and features beneath that. But coming from like a product mind and looking holistically at a system, you want to look at where's the level of effort, where's the business value. And that's how I can help leaders and teams start to see what they can focus on and boost to really bring some more business value to this ecosystem that they're playing with.
So you're prioritizing, so you're creating a parallel. So in digital product design, you have these epics which are the particular kind of suites of actions or services. And that's you make that kind of choice as part of an app development team. What are we going to focus on and how is this going to look? And so what you're describing is culture epics, and you're saying each component or whatever you're going to focus on is going to require a little bit of, focus, and deciding that you're going to actually lean into, right, put your shoulder into a particular aspect of it. And it's not just in and out, we're done. Epic, I think, evokes this idea of a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it doesn't just all happen at once. Did I get that
Yeah,
right?
it's true. And really, if you think about a great product or a great service and a great culture, there's this flow through it, right? So there's
Mm,
this sense of the employee journey. You map the employee journey on that. There's this whole like attract and welcome and belong and grow. Like there's this whole journey. So that's what I want folks to focus on. And of course, my work is very much focused on the welcome, belong, and grow part of the journey, because I also think the recruiting and all of that is very, very important. But if people aren't coming into a system that is healthy, where they can feel like they belong and grow, it's not going to work. It's not going to lead to great business value, great creativity, great innovation.
welcome, belong, and grow. I love that. So is that anybody who is a chief of staff at Microsoft, is that part of their job description, or is this an Emily special here that you're adding in for value?
Well, chiefs of staff really have to think about the entire journey. They have to think about the attraction, the recruiting, like they have to think about that whole journey. My passion is about that welcome, belong, and grow piece, because I'm a believer in amazing onboarding. I'm a believer in creating connection on teams to boost innovation and to create a culture of learning and feedback so that people
Mm,
can grow their careers and have a future at a company.
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how you or why you are now at Microsoft? So you're talking, you have had you have a strong creative streak. I would even say that kind of minimizes it. You have been you've worked at agencies, creative agencies. You said you worked independently, and here you are now. You are one, you might say, in the belly of the beast, right? So here you've now shown up, and now you're at Microsoft. How did you, or why did you choose, right? How is, I guess we kind of all, know maybe how that works, but I'm more interested in why you're here, and the kind of, I'm always interested in kind of the unique aspects of how, like, what you bring and how you do the work that you do, because you're not from that traditional background. So that's my question. Why are you at
Yeah,
Microsoft?
yeah, no, it's great. Well, the scale and potential of impact of working at Microsoft is really what brought me back. So I actually am a boomerang Microsoftie, because Microsoft is what originally brought me to Seattle, and essentially was my bridge from working in music and entertainment into tech. And so I was at the company many moons ago for 7 years, and I got a chance to uh, scale a product to many countries and get my first taste of that. Ultimately, I left and got to work for small agencies and early stage startups for many years, and got to bring all of that. I got my own development and training in lean, agile, and human-centered design. And post lockdown, I really was gung ho on this whole, like, I want to do culture design. Like I don't want to be a busy PM trying to do this thing off the side of my desk. I really want to center culture in the business. I want to center diversity and inclusion and the things that were really that spoke to my heart. And I got a chance. I did a small contract with Microsoft in 2021 and got a chance to kind of sense the company again, and sense the change that has happened
Mm,
since Satya had become CEO.
hmm.
And it's really fascinating, because I've learned that mindset is the highest leverage point you can have for culture change. And
Whoa. All right.
Satya introduced the mindset of growth mindset to the
Okay.
company. And so I got to see the difference of what the company felt like in 2013 to 2021. And I was really impressed. Like I felt how that introduction of that mindset changed the way people were behaving, the way they were communicating.
Huh.
And that gave me a sense of, hey, I this could work. Like I this could work again. This could be a healthy environment for me and a welcoming environment for me to bring what I have learned from working in the industry to this equation. And I got an opportunity to come in as an employee experience designer because again, I didn't want to be a busy PM trying to do this off the side of my desk. I
Right.
came in as an employee experience designer and immediately started working on an onboarding program and D&I efforts, and ultimately evolved into a chief of staff role, which is actually the best form for what I'm trying to do. And that was a surprise to me. But again, I was open to the form of what it could take, knowing
Uh,
that the heart of what I was doing was again centering culture, centering the things that are important to me in the business. And as chief of staff, working with a leadership team, driving strategy, driving culture, like this is where it all comes together. And it's been really fun so far and challenging.
yeah, that's amazing. So this role is really giving you an opportunity to kind of have more, using that word, leverage and capacity, visibility and exposure, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a really incredible opportunity that you were able to find yourself in.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about, we were talking a little before about some wins and fails. Let's talk a little bit about some wins that you've had or a particular win that you've had, and what you've learned from it.
Yeah. Well, I would say the biggest win, looking at even just the last 6 months of me being a chief of staff on this team, is that even though it's been an extremely challenging half of a year here in 2023, we were able to focus on things that we wanted to improve based on feedback that we got from the team. So we have a system of feedback twice annually that we do big surveys and listen to the team and understand what's going well, what needs improvement. And we always have all these smaller iterative cycles of feedback that we're learning from, at the end of all hands meetings and listening tours and more of that organic feedback loops. And we identified that we wanted to work on certain things like hybrid effectiveness and contributing to D&I and collaboration. And even through really challenging times this year, we were able to move the needle on those things that we said that were important to us. And that really, to me, shows me the power of feedback and the power of action and taking imperfect action. Because even with tight budgets and just the environment that we've all been working in this last 6 months, which has been challenging, like we still were able to learn together, share work across teams, like break down those silos, create more time for connection. And that's really meaningful to me. And I think telling a story of success for a
Yeah.
team that's working on culture transformation is really important because as one of my teammates reflected back to me, he was like, Emily, you're a change maker. You're never going to be satisfied with the changes that have already happened. You're only going to see the change to be
Yeah.
done. But
Yeah.
that's where those feedback loops and knowing that and telling that story of success so that people can see that improvements are being made and we're making them together
Mm.
is super important because it kind of never feels like enough.
Yeah, of
but
course. Yeah.
but it's like taking that incremental steps and understanding that um, for someone like me coming in and feeling the pain of teams that are dealing with culture debt and dealing with the years of experience where they haven't been given that kind of infrastructure and permission to connect as humans, and work has become so transactional and burnout is real and trust in leadership is low, and that's like not unique to us. So coming in for me at like initially I was like I just wanted to boil the ocean. I just wanted to like help everyone,
Yeah.
but using these systems for feedback and taking things month by month, quarter by quarter as a way to like guide and show progress over time is a boost of energy for folks. And it's a it's something that we all need.
So it sounds like your feedback cycle was as much about collecting information about what your team wanted, the direction or the priorities your teams wanted to make within your organization, as opposed to usually when we think feedback cycles, all right, how did you do today? What is it like? And that's really important. But it sounds like is it true from just what you're saying? It sounds like you prioritized, like, hey, tell me what we should be working on. What do you need in order to be successful? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's actually some really great articles out there. There's an HBR article about why Microsoft measures thriving instead of engagement. And Microsoft defines thriving as employees being energized, empowered, and connected to meaningful work. And there's some really fun like HR business analyst space math that goes into determining this score. But I really like I saw that and I really got behind it. It means it has a lot of meaning to me because I look at thriving like fulfillment, right? And that's ultimately the vision for I think for people working in companies that could take us, through the next 10 to 15 years is this
Yeah.
idea that we're driving towards a workforce that is actually connected to meaningful work and feels like a sense of purpose. And we know that younger generations, that's what they want. Like that's
Hmm.
what they want in work. Like they see that the transactional kind of extractive nature of work is like is grinding and is not healthy. So we asked people like, well, what do you need? What does thriving mean to you? Like what does that mean? And what does that mean from this like abstract concept down into your everyday? That's
Hmm.
that's really what I'm interested in because we know that most people's experience of culture and as large of a system like what I'm in is really comes down to their home team, their manager. And so that's
Yep.
that's really where it becomes true or not.
Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah, that's right. You're in it's a it's a big company. There's a lot going on, different. It's a city, right? It's like a whole city state almost.
It's a country. It's a
It is.
country. I would say
Yeah.
like to help people understand the system I'm in, I talk about Microsoft as a country because then there's a state and a city in it. And even my team of 200 designers and researchers is just a neighborhood in a city.
In neighborhood in the
So
city.
yeah,
I love that. I love the metaphor. It's really powerful, right? Because you're like, oh, that's how many levels we're talking about, right? It's
yeah.
easier
And
to
it also
understand that.
and it also unlocks this idea of like organizational citizenship, right? Because I want
Mm,
people, and if you're talking about individuals feeling energized, empowered, and connecting to meaningful work, like that's a big system to navigate. So like one person feeling connected to their own purpose and feeling like they have the infrastructure and understanding to like navigate that is really important. And so I want people to own their own purpose. I want people to like learn their own leadership because otherwise there's a lot of there's a lot of weight of the hierarchy and the system that is there. And that's not for everybody.
and it can feel, I mean, this is one of the big drivers of disengagement, right? It can feel like your work doesn't matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And
And
that's
so,
why the strategy piece is so important. And that's what I've been realizing through the last 6 months. Like weaving together leadership, strategy, and culture is so important because people want to see that their work matters.
yeah,
They want to see that that piece that they're doing connects to the overall vision. And that's an important thing that is part of the cues, like in your model.
yeah,
Like working as chief of staff has been so fun because I've been able to work in the cues, like part of the model, so much because of comms, because of our spaces, and even thinking about hybrid work is so much about
yeah,
where are those cues. Because if people don't have that HQ in that office they're coming to every day, how do you create that sense of connection
yeah.
and to all of it? Yeah.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I love it. And um any favorite cues that you've got so far, or ones that you've gotten good feedback on? I'd love to know what you've come up with.
Well, we're going to be experimenting with a weekly like journal from our leadership team because even
Oh,
when we look
cool.
across like our rhythm of business, like we have all hands and ask me anythings and all of that. But what people really need for cues, especially in a hybrid environment, is consistency and
Mm,
frequency. So
mm.
even hearing from our leadership team every week, I'm really hopeful that that helps people stay connected to the strategy, the culture, and understanding like what's on our mind and in our hearts as humans. Like I think that's really important to continue to help people feel connected and like that their leaders have their back, you know.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, totally. That's really amazing. What's next? Are you working on anything new, any experiments culture experiments or anything that you're kind of growing into?
Yes, I'm so excited about this experiment that we're about to do. So we're partnering with Imperative, which is a peer coaching platform. And that's going to be something that we start this year. What I love about Imperative is it really gets to this. It touches a number of things on your model because ultimately I would probably put it squarely in the rituals section.
Absolutely.
But what I love about Imperative, because it connects people at the peer level and it connects people based on their purpose profile and what really drives them. It's a way to help people it brings an infrastructure and explicit time for people to connect about their career development, their learning, their relationships, their impact and their growth. And just like we were talking about around like organizational citizenship and people really like taking ownership of that, that is something I'm really excited to experiment with our team to both connect people across disciplines and, you know, even just in our design team. But ultimately, my goal is to have a successful enough pilot to be able to bring to more of my city level in the company so that we can start to connect a manager community across, you know, various products, or be able to connect designers, engineers, and product managers across a strategic product
Yeah,
initiative.
right.
And yeah, I'm really hopeful for that. I really want people to get that experience of like actually getting a deep, meaningful connection with people at work, because so much of work has become so transactional and we're kind of just relating to each other as this like bundle of skill sets.
Yep.
And I want there to be that deeper meaning so people can actually be energized by having that regular feedback cycle, because we are accomplishing a lot and we don't take a pause to stop and look at what we're
You got to celebrate the
accomplishing, right?
wins. You got to celebrate the
Yes.
wins because I feel like in this environment, in this time, it's never like you said. I mean, I feel the same thing where it's like I'm always looking for what's the next thing that we're
Yeah.
trying to get to. Because by the time if you see you see the point down the road and you're like, that's going to be awesome when I'm there, or hiking, right? If you're hiking a
Yeah.
mountain and you're like, it's going to be awesome when we get there. And there's never a peak. By the time you get there, you're like, of course I'm here. Now I'm looking on to the next thing,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Well,
And it's just not it. You got to
and so
force
much
that.
of it is like you're on a growth, like that's the thing, going on that journey, you're on a growth journey. And I've been feeling this so much because I'm really riding that growth edge. And so many people are working in these environments. They're they're upskilling with all the new AI tools. They're presenting to leadership and learning how to speak in public and do all of that. Like this is like growth edge stuff. And I realize like we have to have those moments to recognize that growth. Otherwise, it's just never enough.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Reflecting on, hey, not only you're having an impact, but look what we've done together. Right. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really, really important to people, is to be able
Yeah.
to, and I think as a manager, as a leader, you and others can help their teammates, the individual contributors, stop and understand that. It's not that you have to invent something. It's you have to just point it out and say, hey, this was amazing.
Yeah.
Look what we've done. Look what you did. I think that's
Yeah.
such a small, it would not require a ton
Yeah.
for just a little stop and acknowledge and just decide that you're going to do it. I think that could create, definitely contribute to the thriving,
Yeah. And
you
so
know?
much of it is about like bringing that humanness and like that human connection into our core flow of work, because that's the thing, like this isn't something you're going to go do on the side. And one of the micro behaviors I encourage my managers to do is just do a round of successes and appreciations as an icebreaker or as a wrap up to a meeting. Have people pair up or share in the room,
Yep.
share a success or an appreciation. Like we don't do that enough. Someone put a book on my desk recently that was about leading with gratitude, and I read business books very fast, but this one, you can imagine what the essence of it was. But it's like, yeah, lead with what's going well, and you're going to
Mhm.
get that flywheel of appreciation and empathy and energy for continuing to move forward, because there's always more work to be done. There's always more growth to be made, but having that positive reinforcement is important.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, as we wrap up, any last minute pro tips or pieces of advice for folks out there who are leading a team, maybe like yours, of that size and scale, or within an organization like that? What should they be thinking about and focusing on?
One of the most important things that I've introduced that has helped me gain allies in this organization is really connecting the employee experience with the customer experience. Like we always say that our products are a reflection of the people that build them. And that
Mm,
has been a way for me to get buy-in from executives and to really talk about culture in a way that is connected to what we're trying to build for for our customers and for people out in the world. So when we say we want to build experiences that are connected and coherent and trustworthy, I always say, well, how are we experiencing that first? Because we cannot build that for our customers unless we experience that first. And what are those things that we're investing in? Like, how are our budgets and our, like, the time that we're spending reflecting that value? That is so important.
amen. That's beautiful. I can't add anything more. That's it. Emily Griffin, Chief of Staff at Microsoft. Thank you so much for coming on Great Mondays Radio. There are so many things that you've given me to think about. I always try to work on coming up with a great episode title, and I have like 4 or 5 different ones here. So I'm going to have to work a little bit harder because you've given me so much to think about and offered so much great advice. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the inspiration over the years, Josh, and we're just getting started.
Beautiful. Thank you.